Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of This Week in Challengers. I know it's been a little bit of a lull in the Challenger scene, but it's going to start to ramp up right now. We got to talk about EWC, Challengers Champs, why everybody is focusing on pro points right now. We're going to talk about all the Rostermania that has gone on in this little bit of a downtime, as well as kind of highlight some stuff going on with the Elite Four qualifiers coming on up, and talk about the brand new maps added, of course, to the CDL map pool, which we will, of course, see in Challengers. It's a lot to get through, so let's go ahead and let's jump on into it this week in Challengers. Now, we want to kickstart this week talking about the pro point situation, because it kind of feels like up until this season, you may have heard some people talk about it, but never really fully grasped, like, why does it matter? Now is the point in the season when it really starts to matter. We kind of just want to do a little bit of a breakdown just of kind of why the pro points will start to have a little bit more weight, because you're starting to see roster decisions are impacted by that's there. We're going to start sort of at EWC and work our way backwards, because you'll kind of see how it all snowballs into each other, because for a lot of these teams, it is going to be all about making that EWC qualification. Because reminder, folks, you're getting guaranteed money if you are one of these teams who gets to the Esports World Cup. And of course, there's some prestige. We saw it with the Pro-Am, like being one of these teams to play against CDL. It's great. Past years at EWC, we've seen Challenger teams actually hold a candle to some of these CDL teams. And especially this year when Challengers is, I think, the most competitive that we have seen in years past. EWC is shaping up to be really, really fun. So, Andy, let's kind of highlight to some of the people. Where do our Challenger spots, how do they manage to get to the Esports World Cup?
Okay, so right at the top, the 4 teams that will make it there, 3 are from Challengers Champs. I think it's actually called CDC Finals, but Challengers Champs is a far better name. And then 1 is from an LCQ. Yep. So the way we have to move backwards here, so the one that comes from LCQ, I'm not 100% sure of the date of the LCQ, to be completely honest with you, but it's essentially incredibly close to Champs, which is 16th to the 19th of July. So it'll probably end up being like the first weekend of July or something like that. Yep. And basically, you are only in the LCQ, and only a certain amount of teams get to play in the LCQ, and there's a cutoff on the number of pro points. Also, before that then is, of course, Challenger Champs, which happens on the...
Well, which is at Champs and in Vegas.
Yeah, sorry. Happens at Champs on the 16th to 19th. So it's a situation for them of, all right, well, Challengers Champs is like, I think, again, it's top 32 pro points globally, or like invited. And then it's a situation on how that kind of plays out. So again, there's a limit to the amount of teams that can kind of play in this. And it ends up basically a case of, all right, well, do you get top 3 at Challengers Champs? So if your pro points are bad, you might not even get to go to Champs. If they're good, you then got to finish top 3 to get to EWC. If you don't get through to EWC, the rest of you then kind of bundled into an LCQ where only 1 team makes it out.
Yeah, and so you can kind of see it's very limited, your opportunity to get there. And it's even more limited when you then look, okay, so if we need pro points to be one of these top teams, to make it into Challengers Champs, or to have maybe a decent seating and be able to play in that LCQ that's there, what is your opportunity to earn that through the rest of the year, right? So you basically have Elite Four, which is, we have the qualifiers kickstarting this weekend, and then obviously into the Elite that's coming up in the next couple weeks. You have the Major Four open, but reminder, folks, Major Four is also in Paris. So if you are maybe some of these competitive North American teams, Paris is a little bit more difficult to get to than maybe necessarily Birmingham, right? So you might not even have the ability to bank on that open at Major Four to try and gain even more pro points that are there. And then you basically, you have Challengers Champs and you have 2 cups, which the cups, sure, are pro points. That's great, but they're not a crazy amount. So, like, I'm just kind of worried, Andy, we could have some of these top North American teams that when they're kind of trying to vie for some of these pro points that are there, if they can't make it to the Major Four open, they might have to really bank on basically winning some cups that are coming on in here to just try and stay competitive. Realistically, it's just going to mean that a lot of these few Challenger events to kind of round out our year are all going to be very hyper competitive.
Well, to clarify something as well, because in case someone goes, oh, well, I'm well inside the top 32 globally, Challenger seed-wise, it doesn't necessarily work like that, because they invite teams from literally around the world. So it's a case of they'll invite a limited amount of teams from North America, a limited amount from Europe. So last year, I think it was like 5 North American teams, 5 European teams. So it's like, you really have to be in a great place. And that's why right now, so many teams are going to be making roster moves that don't necessarily make sense on paper, but if they don't make them, they can't then compete at Champs. They don't stand a chance at EWC. And of course, that is where a lot of the treasure lies for these Challenger teams. So Yeah, it's a real tough one for pretty much everybody going to be involved. And then after that, it's all LCQ. And for the fact that only one team gets out of LCQ, simply a gauntlet.
Yeah, we'll have to see if maybe we can find out when that LCQ is, because I think if we can maybe watch party it or something, dude, that would be really fun to watch. Just think, like you said, it's one singular team grabbing that last spot into Paris. I mean, we have, and like, just think about the storylines from some of the teams that we have, right? Like, not that I'm not even going to say it. There's a certain team that I'm like, if they had to qualify with the LCQ, it would be cinema, it would be content. But I'm going to say that for a number of teams, we have some great content coming out from some orgs here in Challengers. I'm not putting that bad juju out into the world. Please don't come after me.
I've got to assume, because Champs is the 16th to the 19th, right, of July. Whereas Esports World Cup COD kicks off on like the 4th of August. So it wouldn't be the weekend just before, because you have to sort out like visas and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to assume it's like the 25th and 26th of July.
Yeah. So it has to be like right after Challengers Champs, because you need to filter out the top teams from Challengers Champs. You can have an LCQ before Challengers Champs. So yeah, it's probably the weekend right after Champs. That's there. And then, dude, if you're one of these teams, you win through the LCQ, it's like, oh, in a week and a half, I got to pack my bags and head to Paris to try and go and compete. It's not a long while, but hey, that's the kind of, if you want to not have to do that, place well at Challengers Champs, place well at the Major 4 Open, place well in the Elite, do well in the Cups, and it's a problem you don't have to worry about. It's so simple, Andy, you know, just win, and you don't have to worry about it. That's there. But this is, yet again, the pro points matter a lot when we talk about a lot of the rosters that are going on here. So let's get ready. Let's dive into it. And in one of those decisions that made this whole pro point conversation, I think, come to light, it was this one. The Huntsmen, they drop Swooty. They pick up Big Wake. Kind of at the ire of, I think, some of the community, Enigma, because we saw a lot of comments that were like, hey, Zinni, when you came out, when the Huntsmen started, it was all about, we didn't want the same recycled pro players. We wanted to help support up-and-coming talent. And while I get the community sentiment around that, I also think the Huntsmen have done a good job of highlighting talent and able to help get them in the league. I mean, the fact that Kips started the season on the Huntsmen and now is actually like not just on Toronto, but now is actually kind of like a very big force on Toronto to be dealt with. I think that's something to kind of hold there. But when it comes to Awakening coming on in, I do think this does admittedly make the Huntsmen a much scarier team than necessarily Swooty. I think what he's going to bring, hopefully, is a level of consistency. I'm saying hopefully, because consistency hasn't always been maybe the number one thing we've seen from Big Wake. When it comes to sometimes Call of Duty, it's like he's either having takeover maps or he's just not able to be there. How does the NPC meta fit him? Like a lot of questions for me, but I think overall a net boon for the Huntsman.
Yeah, I think there's 3 levels to the decision making. One is, this is a business. And as much as we love these teams, kind of these orgs picking up players and kind of proving them, some new talent, we're late on in the season. There's not many of those kind of parts floating around anymore. Swooty had been given a great opportunity, and I think did really well with what he had. But I think it was inarguable that he wasn't necessarily at the quality of some of the other players towards the top end of these tournaments. Do we think he could probably get there in the future? Sure, but like right now, it's a one of there's a lot of bills to be paid, and Huntsman is saying, well, we want to make sure we're at the biggest events this year, and we want to get this team to champs. So we're going to get ourselves not only Wake for a performance-related reason, because there are points when he takes over good. Always gets a good KD, but sometimes it's all about the impact of it. And sometimes he is deciding maps by himself, and sometimes it's kind of like, what have you done? Because I haven't seen you make any sort of impactful play, but you're like 32-16, so I don't get what's going on there. But it's kind of just always been Wake's kind of downfall, essentially. He plays just KD. He plays TDM, essentially, out there on the map around objective points. That's what he does. But the big thing is as well, he gets you an extra like 35,000 pro points. If you currently with those 35,000 pro points, you're sat on 247,000. That puts you third. That would get you an automatic invite to Challengers Champs currently. If you'd have had Swooty instead, that put you around the 215,000 mark. Who's right behind you? Stallion's COD with 214,000. You could drop out of that top 4. So this is like kind of nailing all these things in a row. It's like, we feel this is an upgrade of a player. This should help us guarantee Challenger Champs, which is the route to EWC, essentially. And also, we're trying to pay all the bills. So it makes sense, and I'm hoping that Wake hits form that we saw early on in the season, right? When he was under Notorious and absolutely lighting things up.
Yeah, no, I think you're right there. I think also just from a content side, Optic having both Huntsman and obviously Optic Texas at EWC is a huge thing. It's been a very successful year for the Huntsmen, right? Brand new program, able to come in. They've been pretty competitive in almost every single elite. They were one of 4 teams to make it to the Pro-Am. If they can make it to EWC, it's a very big statement that obviously this wasn't just some type of content decision. It's that no, Optic is really here. They're invested in the space, they're invested in the scene, and they have a system that works. But the question begs to differ. So Swooty obviously goes out. Where does he go? Well, all roads lead back to, of course, Papa Zuma and none other than the Bush, as they actually announced a brand new sort of sister team coming together. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe the FaZe Falcons thing is kind of going by the wayside and that it's now going back to like a Falcons Academy. I'm pretty sure Falcons Academy picked up a lot of the players that were on FaZe Falcons that were there. So it's like the FaZe Falcons thing isn't happening more. So now it's Stallions Bush. And with this roster now, you have Manny, Okus, who just obviously just dropped down from C9, Skill, and Swooty. So the Shrub also kind of maybe getting blown apart. We will not really going to be there. We knew it was only going to be a team for, of course, the Atlanta Open that was there. But this team is interesting, man, because obviously, like, there's been a lot of talk around all 4 of these players in Challengers. And to see them come through a team, this feels like it's either a bang or bust type of team. Like, they're either going to be super hyper competitive, be a force in the scene, really just take it to a lot of the top teams, which I think we need a little bit in North America. We can't let Project Notorious just kind of run away with the entire thing all the time. And I'm glad to see maybe Bush has maybe some competition there. Or maybe it just kind of fizzles and they get like top 32. I don't know.
Yeah, I can't tell what this team's going to be. I think it's going to be a great one for the watch parties, right?
Sure.
I think that you're going to have a really fun team to kind of tune in with here. Obviously, Skill and Wevy. Everyone wants to... Skill and Okus. You can't want to find out what Skill's going to play like, all right? How's he going to be, having just recently turned 18? For Okus, it's a weird one because, with all due respect, clearly wasn't ready for the league yet. Sure. Like, just wasn't good enough. You understand why he took that deal, right? You were in a spot. We've all been there in real life. Someone offers you a promotion, you're like, I can't do that job, but you see the paycheck that you're getting for it, and I'm going to do that job. And like you find out on the job if you're good enough. He wasn't. But he's like, okay, you drop back down to Challengers. Are you much improved? Because when we thought when Cloud9 were playing against like the AM team that they got, we were like, this is going to be great for Rock. And actually, Cloud9 looked much improved because of the time they'd spent against the pro team. So maybe Okus is going to drop down and make this team a real force. For Manny, he's been kind of like hovering around the like decent category for a while now. Feels like an elite player, but not necessarily a top elite player. It is whether or not he can kind of get himself there. And obviously with Swooty, we just kind of talked about him. I agree with you. I think this is going to be bang or bust. This is either going to be a team that drops like a top 24 or something dumb, or just like has a really bad weekend at a very important time, or he's going to surprise us all and end up with like a weird top 4 finish. And we're kind of like, okay, these guys are content machines. Yeah.
And I think that's like what I think the thing I'm most excited for is just seeing that. I think you call that out best. It's now the fact that Okus and Swooty both have just so much more high level experience and what it feels like to play on really accomplished and solid teams. Whether, obviously C9 and the aspect of the CDL accomplished, no. But the fact that Okus just has the experience playing against the best in the game is invaluable, especially when you kind of come back down here to Challengers. He might be able to play at a much higher pace, and that obviously might be a pace that a lot of different Challengers teams are just not expecting. That was there. So really excited to see this roster, though. I think that's the number one thing. I'm really excited to see what they can do and make it happen. The only other kind of piece of Rostermania news that we did want to kind of highlight here is that Rock have also made a change after, I believe, a sort of disappointing, I know, Atlanta Open performance from them. The Pro-Am, we thought they were going to be making bigger waves. They didn't. They drop on down into the Open, and they have some moderate success that was there, but definitely not at the level that they would like. So we actually see them make a change, which is Clocks. I believe I'm pronouncing that right. Clocks coming in for Rixold. That is there. Obviously, Rixold was felt like a glue player on that Rock Esports roster, right? Maybe didn't always have the best stat lines, but when you kind of did the eye test, you look at a mini map, you're like, oh, he's in the right place at the right time, trying to be able to do the right thing to maybe help, boost up both DomX and Dom and allow Kicks to kind of be able to go to have those takeover maps that we've come to know and love. So maybe you're just looking for a little bit more consistency from Clocks being able to come on in and trying to have that maybe last key piece you need to kind of kick it into overdrive.
Yeah, it feels like Rock have slid down the totem pole over the year, right? They obviously win in Dallas. They've been such a strong force through a lot of the year. They were second in Birmingham and have been a consistent force in Cups and Elites through Europe. But it does feel like recently, and we definitely saw this in Atlanta, you're just not up there anymore. They would be really disappointed with their Atlanta performance. In fact, it was kind of shockingly crap. But you have, Clocks comes in. Obviously Rock are limited. They have to stick to the Saudi talent pool, and this is who they feel is their best bet. I'm surprised it's Clocks. I think Clocks has been a good player through the year. I don't know who you pick otherwise, to be completely honest with you. I just think I probably wouldn't have pulled his name out of the pile first, but in he comes. I think this, just in a more interesting perspective, kind of is actually around Rixold, because he's currently be sitting there as a free agent, and some of his performances weren't good enough. You're right. It was like, you're the glue player, but sometimes you're dropping like 0.6s, and it's like, all right, well, the boys can't do anything about that. Rixold now, though, has 99,000 pro points. So, again, the top 4 for EMEA should be getting that, I believe, getting that invite to Challenger Champs. That currently sits at 221,000. The team behind them in 5th has 101,000. Now, obviously, you are fucking miles off competing with that team. However, if you swap out like Disarray for Rixold for any reason, sorry, Disarray, I'm going with you because you got the least pro points on your team, that lifts your squad to like 180,000. It's like, maybe you can try and make the run happen. I don't know. But P7 Esports are also missing a player right now, so maybe they just guarantee. I doubt it. But I don't know. Maybe it makes it more interesting about where Rixold ends up landing in the grand scheme of things. But other than that, I'm hoping that this is a return to form for Rock, because if they show up at Challenger Champs the same way they looked at the Pro-Am, they'll be getting smoked. Yeah, no. And basically, and the other thing is, with all of this information going on, with all these trades happening, basically with that, Bush, the Telluride Bush, they now have the #1 overall pro points. I know there's a big scandal with, potentially Abe leaving and going to Toronto, but with that not happening and them sticking together, they're now #1 overall. And I just think that's important to note when we kind of go back and we talk about why pro points matter. That's here because Bush obviously is a very competitive roster. So if they can now be #1 and maintain #1 with some solid performances throughout the rest of the year, they should be in a very comfortable position when it comes to, of course, getting those Challenger Champs invites. And also, that's a team that I don't think we would be surprised if they made top 3 at Challenger Champs to be able to get to the Esports World Cup. I know that's a big, big goal for that roster as well. So this is a great spot to be in before we go in to those last couple events of the year. But of course, with all this talk around pro points and Rostermania, we got to laser our focus in, okay, to Elite 4. The qualifiers start this weekend, and we just want to quickly kind of go over what the state of each region between North America and EMEA is, because in one region, it's a little bit more, it's kind of solid, what we would come to expect. And the other one is wide open, and is a bit weird, a little weird, very interesting. Kickstarting it with North America, that is here. North America is actually going to stay the same, and by what we mean by that is that you'll have the top 8 from Elite Season 3. We'll go ahead. They will maintain their spots. No real Rostermania there. So they'll maintain that. It means we have the normal only 4 qualifier spots open. Okay. So that is what we're going to be looking at coming into this weekend. Now, you would think that, it's got to be a lot of the same, good teams that are probably just sitting, waiting, obviously, for the group stages here. We actually have a couple of top rosters that are going to be playing through the qualifier, and I really have to make sure they're on their P's and Q's and they do well, because you cannot go down here. #1 in that top left corner that you can see there, it's the Telluride Bush. They did not have a great, Season 3 that was there. They have to play through the qualifier. Now, they're probably not really worried about it because they basically have to win 3 series, and they're A-OK. And you're the same team, a lot of scrim time. You're coming off of a win in Atlanta. You've been watching a lot of the content. They're feeling very good. I think they're passionate about it. And especially, I think, reinvigorated after like the tumultuous 48 hours they had where they thought their team was getting blown up. I think they're going to be A-OK. But who are some of the other rosters, Andy, that you think kind of when we look at this bracket that you could probably make a safe guess are going to be making it back to that group stage? I'm big on the Cabal Esports roster, so this is Flames, Dimension, Rispy, and Zvik. I think those guys should be a shoe-in. They also will avoid Bush, so I think that they probably get 3 straight. After that, maybe Omnia. The Omnia roster haven't been bad, to be honest with you. So this is Phantoms, Priesta, Booger, and Andy. So I don't know. I think that this is I don't see this being a bad team at all.
Well, that is. I mean, I know it's not the exact roster. That is the team that took down Project Notorious in the Open. So
true. Yeah. So I mean, this is a team that is like capable of good runs. I don't expect that team to do very well in the Elite, but they don't have to worry about that just yet. And maybe after that, I don't know. It's a tough one. Like there's the Family Ties roster: Symbols, Millie Mirage, and Veil. I mean, is that 4? Bush, yeah, Bush,
Yeah.
Cabal, Omnia, and Family Ties. Maybe those 4 get it done. In order to get there, Family Ties and Omnia would likely have to do it through lowers because they would have to play each other in the second round and then likely Bush in the finals. So we might see those 2 teams have to do it through lower side.
Yeah, and I mean, hey, but there's also obviously the door is open for maybe any of these, kind of teams that are on this lower side of the bracket that we're not as familiar with, right? That's kind of the fun part about challengers. You can always have those 1 or 2 teams that you've never heard of that can make their way through.
I've just realized TSB is the Stallions Bush.
Oh,
so them.
Yup, that's a good
Them over
call.
Omnia. Them over Omnia. Yep. Okay. I was looking at the logo and I was like, wait, is that a... Oh, shit, that's those guys.
We can't exactly see it. No, that's okay. That's a good shout. I'm glad you caught that. Yeah, so Stallions Bush also... So this is going to be a banger. Thankfully, I mean, I guess if you are the Bush and obviously the Stallions, like, you're feeling pretty good about this because both of those teams can qualify through the winner side and not have to go against each other. So...
Yeah. So yeah. Bush, Stallions, Bush, Cabal, and Family Ties, I think, for me.
Okay. I think that's solid. I'm not going to disagree with you. I think I could see Omnia doing it. I think it's going to come down to that Family Ties Omnia game because, like you said, whoever wins that then has to go against most likely the Bush in that, sort of qualification match. And then they'll have to go ahead and just play against a loser team. A team that is coming from losers. Let me be very clear about that thing. Not a loser team.
Not
a team that is coming from losers.
Just a set of fucking losers.
Yeah, a bunch of losers we have here. You're not
one thing is, if you lose
mentioned.
a qualification match, you drop into a qualification match. So you only have to win one. I'm 99% certain that's how that works.
Get to that definitely. Point and win and you're in, basically.
Yeah.
But North America's going to be great. We'll be keeping tabs on it. We'll talk about, obviously, all the results next week. Hopefully, we'll have the groups and stuff ready to go and be able to talk all about it. But we got to talk about EMEA for the first time in a hot second here on this show because we're now going into this, and EMEA is looking a little bit wide open, my friend. Only 4 teams are retaining their spots from Elite Season 3, which means it's going to be top 8 from the qualifier this weekend will be able to make it on. Obviously, a lot less competitive, but what it means is that there's now a new opportunity for different squads to find themselves in that Elite Season 4 and maybe have a little bit of a shakeup against some of these other teams.
True. It's hilarious because none of the other teams really matter, but these 4 are our big 4. I mean, Exceptional Gaming have been kind of crap, right? These are the Frenchmen that kind of rock up to lands and get absolutely belted. So maybe they don't matter too much, but they do have a hell of a lot of pro points. These 4 are your 4 that are probably going to be automatically invited to Challenger Champs. But outside of that, I mean, you'll probably, Team Kez, right? This is saying Kez, Disarray, and Overlay. Would expect them to get through. Maybe the Able roster, so it's Scythe and Co. I don't know. After that, like, you got like Wheats and Co, Charm and Co. Like, you got a bunch of players. Like, the other 8 that arrive, I hate to say it, like, until you guys do something to break the monopoly of those top 4 teams, I don't care too much about you just yet.
Yeah, it's tough to say. I'm gonna pull up the bracket right here. What? Oh yeah, and here's this is actually interesting. So this may be wrong because does Rock maintain their spot?
You're allowed to make one change. So I believe so.
Why does this have? Okay, then we'll have to double check this because this shows Rock in here already.
Oh, and the qualifier? Oh. They've only made one change for sure, right? They
only run in clock. So
kicks and clocks.
Yeah, we'll have to. There's also a Rock Academy here as well, so that's kind of interesting, as well. So we'll keep our eyes peeled on that. I mean, obviously EMEA is going to kind of just be a little bit up in the air no matter what. But I'm with you. I think Rock definitely should. They're allowed to make one change, but Omit. Obviously, I think they're kind of top dogs right now. They have a lot of eyes on them. They had a great performance at the Pro-Am. Heck yeah, Project 7, they've been rock solid. They've been looking very, very good. Though we did just see some roster changes right before it went live, where I believe Aspect is leaving or joining, and
moves from, I'm pretty sure, P7 to Omit. Now, the thing that completely eludes me here is who the hell was on Omit beforehand? Was it Real? Because Melko was with the French beforehand. Was it Real? Who the bloody hell was on Omit before Aspect was there? I'm losing my marbles trying to remember this, and I've been sitting here for the last couple of minutes being like, who the fuck? Hang on, let me do some searching. I'll come back to you in a second.
Okay.
One sec.
Well, that's fine. Well, you're gonna go ahead. You're gonna do that. Obviously Real was on P7. Missing their aspect is going to move out of omit that's there. But either way, even with a couple of those changes, I still think they're A-okay. Going to be totally fine. But I think when it comes down to these teams, it's like, yet again, we're kind of more just talking about this from the side of, hey, pro points, who's can lock it on up. Because like, Andy was kind of mentioning earlier, where with some of these players, if they drop to a different team or with some roster shuffles going on, all of a sudden the pro point situation can look very different. So you're going to see it be very top heavy and be, I think, a little bit more mixy that is there.
That's why I can't remember. We got baited. It technically Aspect has been on that roster for a minute. I think he was pretty much loaned there, and now he's full-time there. So the change then is all to do with Project 7 rather than because P7 was F. Harry, Mythics, and Alpha.
Yes.
There's no Alpha currently listed on that roster.
I believe Alpha is getting, what did I see? I thought Alpha was getting loaned to somewhere.
Hopefully exceptional because he's French and hopefully they can do something with him. But then that would mean that one of the Frenchmen kind of have to drop. Maybe Mighty, but then again, Brezzy, Cobra, and Linda did nothing of note this year. So I don't know. Sorry, fellas. I always talk harshly about this roster, but they've been so bad this year that I just lost faith a long time ago. I mean, they get a lot of pro points because they're in Europe. If they're in North America, they'd be a top 24 team. Yeah,
I mean, and for that squad, like you said, I mean, as long as they can maybe get that Challengers Champs invite, that's really kind of all that matters for them, I think. Maybe, hey, if you haven't been great at all the other lands, but you show up to the one that matters, then, hey, that's kind of all that matters. And to be able to see that happen would be really interesting. So Qualifier 4, the qualifiers are kicking off this weekend. Of course, then we start Elite Season 4 going into, I don't believe, does it? Yeah, I believe it starts next week. If I'm not mistaken. If it's not next week, it's the week after. But I'm pretty certain it's next week. So we'll, of course, try and get our episodes up with all the groups and the breakdowns and all that stuff and our thoughts that are there in the next episode. We'll maybe have to get that one up a little bit earlier now that we've shifted to kind of later in the week. But should be really fun. Should be a very interesting watch. And we have a lot of community broadcasts are going to be rocking and giving you all the action all weekend long. So definitely go check them out. I know, Seymour does a lot of coverage. Of course, that's there. So huge shout out to our boy Colin. To be able to cover all of that because he does that out of pure passion and just for the love of the game. So obviously we want to shout it out where we can. But I definitely think these qualifiers are going to be a very fun watch. Now, what's crazy, because right before, obviously, Elite 4, we're getting Season 4 of Call of Duty. And with that is actually bringing in a little bit of a change up in the maps and modes that we see. Now, this is obviously for the CDL. Challengers, we mimic exactly what the CDL is doing there as well. So we're going to see an impact here. And I think what's really interesting is this might be, I hope this is low-key, the map set for the rest of the year. I wouldn't be upset if that was the case because with some of the changes that we are seeing, I think it's going to really open stuff up. But also, like, I don't think be as RNG that we may be seeing. So let's kind of go from the top. We'll kind of go from left to right. Hardpoint. We have Clifftown getting taken out because nobody wants to play Clifftown.
See ya.
So much that it was literally just do we have a single map of Clifftown played in
maybe
Challengers or CDL? I don't know.
Maybe in like like a low set of open teams just went fuck it, I'm just gonna throw Clifftown in.
Somebody's like, we're picking Clifftown. I don't care.
Yeah, like if you were one of those low seeds and you get matched up against a decent team, you're like, well, we can't beat them on any decent map, so let's just throw Clifftown in and hope. Yeah,
you know maybe. What sucks, though, is that if you did that, because it's Clifftown, which is, if you didn't know, it's just Yemen. Like, I played my first game of Clifftown in ranked last night, and I was running around. I was like, oh wait, yeah, this is just Yemen. I still understand how to play the map. So it's like, you probably didn't even do anything. But what's way more important about that whole thing, we get Hossie hardpoints back in the mix, baby. And listen, I'm the #1 person who hates seeing maps recycled. I will never say that about Hacienda. Hacienda is like legitimately, I think, what is almost close to like one of the most perfect Call of Duty maps we have. It just plays so well on both Search and Destroy and Hardpoint. I'm glad that we have it back on in. It's a map that your ARs are able to get active, your SMGs get active, Route Man gets paid, power positions pay off. Like, it's just so good, and especially in this NPC meta, I'm glad that we are seeing it because it's going to do one of two things for me, Andy. Either you're going to see ARs finally maybe have a map that they can hold their own on, which is great, and kind of be rewarded for hitting those rotations. But also with the NPC meta, this game plays at an insane pace. Do we see Hossie come on in and maybe the NPC meta throws off some timings and now we get to see a new version of Hacienda start to get played?
I love Hacienda. I'm with you. Hacienda is a classic. Is not like quite at the level of Raid, but it's up there as like one of the best that we've probably ever produced. Again, we wish we'd managed to get like an Arsenal or Frequency into this game. I think it would have been insane. But Hacienda is a great one, and I agree with you in the sense of like it can match up for various play styles. We've seen certain teams look great on it, and some of them slower teams and some of them faster teams. It very much does just kind of be it's a map that you can mold essentially. As well, I look at that map pool. Now that we have all 6 maps available to us too, it's going to make the picks and bans very interesting because it's going to leave so much more room open to kind of like squeeze a map in that you want. And so, yeah, the whole mind games start early there. The tactics that are drawn up before you even set foot on the map is all right there in front of you. And honestly, I look at the 6 and it's like, there's not a single one that I wouldn't want to play, let alone wouldn't want to watch. Maybe Colossus could go, but like I feel I don't.
You need a bang out though. You need a bang out.
I don't mind a hard point. Like I remember, like back in the day, we used to roast like bow cage and all that kind of stuff. But it's like every now and again, one of those gets thrown in, and it's like, fuck it, like everyone have fun. So I'm a big fan. I'm glad he's here.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. And the other thing with Hacienda 2, hardpoint, we got wall bouncing in the game now as well. So that's like a whole other new element added to the map as well, right? So we could see new sort of routes and things, kind of be able to happen. Some new plays that have been able to happen before now able to come on in. But let's move on to Search and Destroy. This one, I know a lot of people are very excited about. We have Scar and Plaza getting taken on out, and Sake and Hacienda making their way in for S&D. Scar, I was a little bit surprised, but not really to see Scar. I think the problem with it is it plays very one-dimensional. I think that is sort of the issue. It's like everybody's, right, is it whatever the wood bomb is? I always get them mixed up between which one's A.
I do it all the time. I'm pretty sure it's A, but I always get mixed up.
I think it is A. Like, so it's like you're basically 95% of the time people are hitting A and then maybe trying to throw in a B just to kind of like throw you off, or it's just a sniper battle from blue to broken, and it's like great moments this entire year on Scar. I think of S&D maps we've had, it's definitely not the worst, but I did play a little bit one-dimensional, so I'm not entirely sad to see it out. While Plaza was fun to watch sometimes,
from a tactical standpoint, it sucked. And it was
terrible.
Just like there was a hilarious viral tweet that was kind of like someone was watching CDL and it had Plaza going and watching a CS2 game at the same time. It's like the difference in strategy level was truly exemplified in that moment. So yeah, and you and me got to cast plenty of Plaza as well. Of course, getting to cast the Project Notorious v Paris game. And it just came down to like I think like we went to around 11 and maybe 8 of those rounds were just bang outs. And the thing as well, to be fair to the Notorious, they were trying to throw in plenty of different looks. So yeah, it's just how it goes. Be interesting seeing Sake come in. I have no idea how this map looks on S&D. Wouldn't even be able to tell you where the bombs are just yet. So I'm gonna have to have a look at that one. For Hasi, a great S&D map, really good map that lets you have so many different strategies. And the thing is, well, Hasi plays in a way, and wall bouncing might affect this differently because middle of the map maybe changes. But it's all about that mid-map control and the kind of flexibility that it gives you. So I think Hacienda is actually going to play gloriously in this game as well. It's such a good map for S&D and always has been. Okay, so Sake. So B is inside the main room, essentially. A is going to be out towards, was that P4?
Yes.
So not, in front of brick, essentially.
Yeah,
so
it's...
Yeah. All right, I don't mind it. I don't mind it. I don't mind it.
Do seem a little close. I will say that.
Yeah, the only other place you could, the thing is, it'd be hard to where would you put B, because if you put it at rocks, it would be really easy to see from spawn.
Yeah, that is the problem. I'm right there with you. I was just like, I'm pretty sure I just saw that this got added to attack maps. That's why I wanted to bring it up, just to call. I think there's also probably a lot of viewers, same thing. Like I didn't realize where the bombs were. So, really fun that we get these 2 maps in. I think the thing I like about Sake, it's a little bit bigger, right? So you kind of have an opportunity to get lost, maybe potential for more 1v2, 1v3 scenarios that can go ahead and happen. I think it will require a lot of like strategy, depth. We're going to see some set nades on this map, that's for certain. And like I said, Hacienda, it's bread and butter. It plays so good in Search and Destroy. Both bombs completely viable, right? Multiple different strategies. We've seen how many, 1v3s, even 1v4s on Hacienda over the years as well. Like, I think it just plays out so good. That I'm really excited to see, basically what it will look like in the coming map set, and also just like what teams are going to be able to take advantage of both of those, right? That are there. Feels like Game 5 now will kind of matter a little bit more, because it definitely felt like a lot of teams are just throwing Plaza in as a Game 5, saying, okay, cool, like we're just gonna throw it in, and maybe hopefully we can just win the bang out trades and maybe steal out a series. We also have then for the third game mode, now this is a fun one, man. we got gridlock coming on in Overload. Now, why does this matter? Because we have a 4th Overload map now.
Yeah.
And vetoes matter for a 4th game mode. Hell yeah.
First of all, very curious about Overload and how it's going to work. I mean, if you have a attack map for a gridlock Overload, definitely keen to take a look at about where the scoring points are going to be. I'm assuming just deep in the far corners of each map here. Wow. I think that's heavily going to lean. Well, Jesus, those are going to be tough scores.
Blue JSOC will be good side for sure.
All around. Well, I think that the guild's A site is easier to score on for sure. Out of the 4. JSOC's B is going to be, so JSOC, is that a B towards the bottom? I'm trying to read that. So
it's A is on the bottom.
A
and then
for
B is on the
JSOC.
top.
A for JSOC is going to be just terrible to try and score in, whereas A for the guild is going to be pretty good. B for JSOC is going to be pretty hard to defend, I think. The second you lose showers, you give it up. Essentially, it's going in. But B for the guild should be pretty hard to score in because you have basically the extra courtyard there. So a weird map. It basically feels like it's going to play very diagonally. And obviously you get the device spawn. So what, 1 central? I'm assuming.
I think it just only spawns in the middle. I think that's the thing from what I've seen.
Unless that map's been a little lazy there. Usually would have like, what, 1 south, 1 north?
No, I saw some tweets complaining about it. I'm like 99% certain it only spawns in the middle.
All right. So weird map. Going to be a weird map.
What are you going to do? Spawn it showers and it's 50 feet away from one of the zones? Like,
but I agree. But then does that reduce the validity of the map? Because I guess you have to do it for like exposure, right? You spawn it at solar and you've just run solar. I guess
that's a good point. That is a very good point. Yeah, I mean, I guess you could spawn it like here, just past between the 2 18s, I guess, and then have one maybe up towards shower. I'm right there with you. This map's gonna be very interesting to see. Like I mentioned, it's gonna be like you're gonna be able because now there is a 4th map. Not that this is incredibly niche, but basically through the veto process, one team is going to be able to pick the map and the other team will be able to pick the side they want. So you haven't always had that when it comes to the 3rd game mode, right? Of being able to kind of go into that. Now you will be able to. So you're going to be able to take a little bit more advantage of that team A, team B stuff. And that even if maybe you get an overload map that you're not super comfortable on, you can say, hey, maybe at least in the first half, we can take bad side first half. Let's go ahead. Let's just try and really play some defense. That way when we get good side in second half, we can obviously come on out and maybe get back into the game or just come out swinging and go up 4-0 and then just focus on playing some mega defense that's there. But really excited. I think that's number one thing. I think overall, I think it's just a huge W from start to finish. Pro points on the line. Rostermania is cooking. Elite Season 4 is coming down the line with a brand new set of some maps and modes getting added on in. Andy, I mean, listen, I know it's been a little bit of a break. Atlanta, it was sick. It was awesome. But now we're geared back on in towards our more normal challengers setup. How excited are you for what's coming down the line?
Yeah, incredibly, because all roads lead to this now. This is setting yourself up for the final elite, the final cups, champs, LCQ. Like, this is where your entire year essentially boils down to. And we always get to this stage of the year and we think we have it all figured out. And then some teams just suddenly come alive, right? New maps coming in. We got the NPC meta. So it could be even more upsets than usual. And suddenly we have teams turning up at EWC that we wouldn't have seen coming a month ago. And looking really much so forward to it. And you can see a lot of the teams at the top trying to compensate for it with some roster movement as well. So a lot to happen just yet. Going to be very fun to tune into. It's
going to be a blast to be able to watch all of this action. Let us know if there's anything that you want explained. I know we talked a lot about sort of the macro and the micro. If you want us to talk about it anymore, let us know in those comments. Let us know who you're going to be watching this weekend in the qualifiers. Who do you want to see make it to EWC? And what are you most excited about when it comes to these brand new maps being added into the pool? But it's going to be a lot of fun times ahead, that is for certain. We're going to be locked in every step of the way. So make sure you're liking, you're commenting, you're subscribing, because we got a lot of content coming your way. But that being said, that's another This Week in Challengers.